Hey everyone, I am here today to kick off my sort of tutorial series on my Castle Ravenloft Skeletons. Like I said in prior videos, I've had requests for more detailed information on how I do things, and I did do that a little bit on a video series for the Ashardalon Dragon, but it was very heavy airbrush oriented and it didn't focus very much on basic things really. As I've said before when introducing this topic and this series, I'm not saying that I'm doing things the absolute right way or the best way that there is possible. This is sort of the way I do things, and so I do welcome folks giving their opinions on other ways to do things, or even commentary on what I'm doing. I'm happy to improve through this process as well. I'm always learning from other folks, peers on the YouTube channel, friends, and so I just put that out there, you know, just because this is more about the folks that enjoyed my videos that want more information. And so with that said, I do heavily use the airbrush, and I use it in particular for priming and varnishing at a bare minimum, but then also I use it quite a bit for base coating and highlighting. For the purposes of this video series with these skeletons, I'm actually not going to use the airbrush at all. I think that it might be more helpful for those that are just, you know, starting to paint, to actually get to see how they can do it without the airbrush, because some people will never get an airbrush. I mean, there are people that paint a lot better than me that don't use an airbrush at all and never will, like they just don't want to. I find it helpful for certain things, and I like the effects I can get with it, but you certainly don't need it, and I certainly didn't use it when I started painting just a couple of years ago, so not very long ago, probably even less than 2 years ago, to be honest. And so what I'll be doing is using alternative methods, traditional methods, you know, and things that are a bit, you know, easier access to use. And I think that for the most part, in particular with these models, I'll actually get a similar result, and so I'm not really that worried about it, to be honest. So with that said, I chose these skeletons, and I have to be honest, I did rethink and think maybe I won't use the skeletons for this video series. Initially, the reason I chose them was that I think that I will be able to, I already in my head when I think about what I would do to use these, I already had in my head like certain stages that I know I would do, and that's kind of on a skeleton, and so that's why I ended up doing it, or, you know, choosing these. And also the skeleton being a model in my mind that can be done with high contrast presents, I think, a lot of opportunities too for just some different techniques. And so is it the best model to show for this? I mean, the reality is, because we're not painting on a canvas, and essentially we're not painting from scratch. In painting minis, you know, or miniatures, to a degree, you are limited by the sculpture you're working on. So if you actually are dealing with a little sculpture that you don't really like the look of, it doesn't show much detail, right off the bat, it can limit you as far as what you want to do with it. So I kind of view it like my job is to do the sculpture justice as best as possible. Because when the sculptor put all this detail in there, you want to be able to try to, you know, show it as best as possible. If you're choosing sculptures that actually don't show a lot of detail, and on this one in particular, I actually don't think it's too bad. I actually kind of like it. The sword, does not have a tremendous amount of detail, and it does show a very vague line down the center, but like some of the other Wrath of Ashardalon minis with the swords, they're not perhaps always the best part of the model. Some of them could be quite bendy, and so it looks kind of like you're holding a banana or something. That's, you know, a weakness to the model if that is the case. But we'll do our best with it to show that and to try to create the best effect. I do think that there's a fair bit of detail in the shield and in the skeletal structure that we can work with. And actually, the head actually looks pretty good in my mind. I'm going to try to get as close as possible here, but to show the head, it does look pretty good as far as the detail that we can show, and that's key, because I think personally, in any mini that you do, if your head is really messed up or if you don't like the head on the mini, that just sets the stage for the rest, because we're very face oriented. You know, we're going to always look at the face, and that's going to always be a focal point of interest in the model. So in this one, I think because it's decent, you know, it'll be good things to work with. There will be things in the series that I won't go over, because it won't be something that I would normally do maybe in my process on this model, and we'll just have to cover that in another series. And then as well, there may be things that I don't cover that I forget to, or I mention and I don't go into enough detail on, and please just put a comment in, and I can, you know, provide a comment, or I could even potentially provide a video in the future if it's something, you know, just specifically to that question. So with that, we will close this intro video, and next up we're going to talk about preparing these minis for painting and priming. See you in the next video. Thanks.